Folks, today is Monday, June 26, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Sorry, June 22nd, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. I am here in Columbus, Ohio, where I'll be participating in the State of Black America with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. We'll be carrying that live right here on the Black Star Network. Breaking news, Carmelo Anthony has a new legal team. We'll tell you all of those details of a group of Black Texas lawyers who will be leading his case as it goes to appeal. Also, on today's show, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth always talks about merit when it comes to promotions, yet why does he continue to overrule the promotions of blacks to senior leadership positions in the military and promote inferior white leaders? We'll talk about that. Plus, the Supreme Court makes a ruling in a critical voting rights case. Lots to break down. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, breaking news out of Texas. There's a new legal team that will be in charge of the appeal for Carmelo Anthony. Of course, he's a 17-year-old black teen who was found guilty of murder in the case of stabbing Austin Metcalf at a track meet last year in Collin County, Texas. He was convicted by a Texas jury, sentenced on the same day to 35 years in prison. He had to serve at least 17 years before he's eligible for parole. This is what the press release says. A team of leading appellate, civil rights, and criminal defense attorneys announced today it has taken on the case of Carmelo Anthony, who was recently sentenced to 35 years following his murder conviction, the death of Austin Metcalf. The team, serving pro bono, will review the trial record and pursue all available avenues of appeal. Leading the effort are Russell Wilson, the law firm, a law office of Russell Wilson II, Gary Bledsoe, the Bledsoe Law Firm, and president of the Texas NAACP, Michael Ware, law office of Michael Ware, Brooke Clues, Ben Crump Law, Sean Daradia Law Firm, and Justin Moore, Stafford Moore as well. Our appellate team has been retained following the conviction to conduct a fresh, independent review of the trial record. We recognize the profound loss suffered by one young man's family and the uncertainty facing another, and we extend our respect to everyone whose lives have been forever changed by these events. Our responsibility is to determine whether a legal error occurred and to ensure that every issue supported by the record is fully and vigorously presented on appeal. And so it then goes on to actually list in detail the bios of the different attorneys. Of course, a number of people have been highly critical of Carmelo Anthony's attorney for how he conducted the case. So, for instance, Carmelo Anthony did not testify in the trial. But what really stood out is when they went to the sentencing phase, and the attorney only called one witness, Carmelo Anthony's mother. And so he was literally convicted by this jury. They deliberated for less than 3 hours, and then he was sentenced all in the same day. And so there were a number of folks who were highly critical of his, frankly, lackluster defense of Carmelo Anthony. And so this has been talked about for quite some time in terms of what was going to be happening in this case. So I want to bring in my panel right now. First up, Omekongo Dibinga, Senior Professor at Lecture School of International Service, American University. He is also author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism out of D.C. Control Room, let me know when Thelma Anderson and Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver have joined us. Omekongo, I'll start with you. I mean, this is obviously a significant development, and there's been lots of discussion after the fact, regarding this. His family has said that they were told that they needed to hire a white lawyer. Well, we see how that went.
I can hear you, yes.
Ome Congo, can you hear me?
I can hear. Ome
Congo,
well.
can you hear me? All right, so clearly we're having some issues with Ome Congo here. Dr. Avis Jones-Weaver, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so let me go to you. So there were a lot of concerns obviously expressed of his defense counsel in the aftermath of the conviction and the sentencing.
It certainly was. And as you alluded to, a lot of people were concerned about the racial dynamics of this entire, unfortunately, setup, I would describe it as. Not only the white defense attorney, but not one black person on the jury. And it created a feeling, especially unfortunately with Texas. I know you're a son of Texas, in the history of Texas, kind of knowing that setup. Frankly, I was concerned from the beginning. I could, in some way, understand the counsel that he got to have a white attorney, in the sense of oftentimes you will see a strategy where, for example, if a man is accused of sexual assault, he's oftentimes told to have a woman defend him. We saw that with the case where you have someone who is, for example, the previous case with the young man who was shot in the back by the Asian store owner. He had a black defense attorney. Oftentimes, the defense attorney, is the strategy to have that attorney match the victim to hopefully be a little bit more sympathetic for the jury. But no matter what color the defense attorney was, it was clear that he seemingly didn't know what the hell he was doing, or on the worst case interpretation, maybe there was some collusion to get this child in a situation where he would be where he is right now. So either way, at minimum, it seemed to be horrible representation. The jury definitely put him at a disadvantage from the beginning, but I am hopeful now that there is an expanded legal team in place, that there is more information, it seems like, coming out about this case, that as we move forward, we'll get a little bit closer to justice for him and his family.
Ome Congo, can you hear me now? Folks, can Ome Congo hear me? All right, is Thelma there? All right, so let me do this here, folks. Let me go to a break. Y'all, please sort out this audio stuff so I can come back with the panel and have this conversation. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up, not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's a time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hello, we're the Critter Fixers. I'm Dr. Bernard Hodges.
And I'm Dr. Terrence Ferguson.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're having some audio issues with our panel, so we're trying to get them all up to speed. So we'll hopefully have them on soon. Let's talk about what the Supreme Court did today, a huge blow. I told y'all about a case that started out of Arkansas that was going to have serious ramifications when it comes to voting rights. Well, the Supreme Court declined to hear a case challenging a lower court ruling that limits who can enforce key voting rights protections. The decision leaves in place a ruling that prevents voters and civil rights groups from bringing certain voting discrimination lawsuits in Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Instead, those cases will largely have to be brought by the Department of Justice. And we know they absolutely are an anti-black, anti-voting rights Department of Justice. Of course, this comes after the Louisiana versus Calais case. Avis, I kept warning people that this was a case that was crucial. People need to understand that means in this jurisdiction, that means that the ACLU, Black Voters Matter, any external group, NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, any external group cannot file a voter discrimination lawsuit. And by saying, and because the people who supported this law say, well, only the DOJ can bring about these cases. Well, we clearly know we have right now an anti-Black Department of Justice.
Absolutely. We don't have a Department of Justice. Let's just call a thing. We have a Department of Injustice. That's what we have right now. And so to go along as a match set with the Department of Injustice, we have an unjust Supreme Court. And so here we are in this moment where from every angle, the voting power of Black people are completely being dismantled before our eyes. And what's shocking to me is the degree to which we're not really, but aside from you, Roland, you are definitely giving this specific issue the attention and the focus and the urgency that it deserves. And it once again shows how important this platform is. Because I have to tell you, when you look on mainstream media, when you look on, even on social media, just in terms of the conversations that are going on there, this is an issue that was a blip for a second following Calais, and now it's like it's completely off the charts. And while this is something that is no longer getting all the headlines, it is something that definitely is still a huge deficit for us as Black people, and the attacks just keep coming. This is the latest one. So one other round in the attack on Black voting power, one other round in the ability to dilute, diffuse, fracture the Black vote, and to specifically say, under this administration and in this Department of Injustice, that we are to assume that that institution would do anything to protect Black voting rights is an exercise in futility. We know exactly what this is. They're trying to undermine our voting power, and it's time for us to speak up, get up, and do everything that we can to protect it.
Yeah, and so listen. As a result of the Supreme Court doing this, now granted, it is limited to that particular part of the country. Do not be surprised to see right-wing advocates, Avis, file similar lawsuits, and you know where they're going to go first: the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That governs most of your southern states. And so you're going to see that Fourth Circuit. And so don't be surprised to see that's the next phase where they do this to basically shut down external groups from filing lawsuits in states where you have a large amount of Black people.
Absolutely. And this is another thing about this particular ruling that is exactly right. They're not going to stop here. They're going to keep going. And what we have seen in terms of the strategies that the right has used so far, they have used this strategy of pushing forward on various different lawsuits in order to undermine the power of a wide variety of equal protection coverages, right? And now we're talking about voting rights. But what's really disturbing about this is, you know, in the past, at least we've had the ability to have those institutions that historically have taken up the mantle to fight for justice, to fight for equal protection, to fight for our voting rights, to fight for our rights to be treated equally in this nation, to now undercut their ability to be able to fight back is really the death blow here until we can get this corrected. So one thing I will say, this once again highlights the absolute urgency of making sure that we move forward in a way that overperforms, not only in the midterms, but we have to look forward to the presidential elections, the House and the Senate, because at the end of the day, we need significant Supreme Court reform. This needs to be the death nail in the Supreme Court as it is currently constructed. We need to move forward. And to me, one of the non-negotiables that I have to see for any presidential candidate that I'm going to vote for in the future, that person has to say, one of the things that I'm going to make sure happens at the very top of my agenda with the next presidency, to make sure that we have Supreme Court reform. And to make that happen, that person needs not only the presidency, they need the House and the Senate. So we need to do all we can to get back all the realms of power, because until we do that, something like this really undercuts our ability to be able to fight back for our voting rights.
Well, and here's the deal here, and this is most important. I keep saying, you cannot have any reform of the Supreme Court if you do not get control of the House, Democrats, get control of the Senate, and then get control of the White House. And so the elections are all a part of this.
Absolutely. And what most people, a statistic that most people don't realize, is that for the past 30 plus years in this nation, the Democrats have only held both the House and the Senate for a total of 8 years out of the past 30 years. I mean, it's very rare that we have both the House and the Senate. You know, we have all of these huge expectations. I know people are talking about, for example, with the recent Obama's presidential library opening, and there's this big debate that's gone on ever since he's been in office. What has he done for Black people? The reality is he only had the House and the Senate for 2 years out of 8 years. All right, it's kind of hard to get shit done if you do not have the Congress in addition to the presidency. So we have to understand that it's important to not only vote for president, it's important to make sure that that president has the legislators that they need in both houses of Congress in order to be able to get through legislation. And to make this happen, as you mentioned, it's not just enough to have the presidency. It's not just enough to have the House. We need to have the House. We need to have the Senate by overwhelming margins, because we know how things are there in the Senate. And so the rules are there. So we need to make sure that we have all of that together to be able to make sure that we can make these huge changes that we need to make in the next couple of years, because unless we do, our voting rights can be gone, essentially, in terms of its full power, at least for another generation.
Folks, do we have Ome Congo or Thelma? All right. Okay. All right, so let me do this here. Let me go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth denying promotions to more Black generals. It is completely racist, and it is not about merit. He is an absolute racist. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you need to support our work, please contribute via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. You can also, of course, use that for credit cards. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 at 0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle. Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. If you're in Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
This is Reggie Rock Piper. You're watching
Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
How many times have we told y'all the GOP has a war on black people? And that war is taking place at the Department of Defense. Trump calls it, of course, Department of War, as BS. They can't change the name. So check out this reporting that was done. So Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, has been, now mind you, remember, this unqualified white man followed an eminently qualified African-American, four-star retired General Lloyd Austin. And so what he's done is the New York Times published a detailed story of the former Fox News host blocking more African Americans. Internal Pentagon studies have said that nearly 1/3 of black service members reported racial discrimination in the Trump administration. They don't give a damn at all. They don't care at all. And so what he's done is block these promotions. And now remember, he wrote a book complaining about diversity in the military. And what he's done is he specifically targeted soldiers, okay, who supported diversity. In his last case, a high-ranking African-American, you had a review board that actually reviewed this. The review board reviewed this, and they went through and they said, okay, this is who we're going to nominate. He was ranked number 1, this black soldier. Well, Pete Hegseth said, nope, that soldier supported diversity. So as a result, I'm not going to promote it. And so what they did is they chose the third-rate person who was a white man. This military is becoming more and more white under Donald Trump. I told y'all my book, White Fear. That's what this is about. This is all about attacking black people. They do not want to see African Americans promoted in this administration, in this country. This is undeniable, pure racism, Avis. Okay, all right, so we don't have Avis. Okay, so folks, again, I saw this story, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable to see this, and we see this going over and over and over again. What happens? What happens with this administration and how they're targeting black people? And so they don't want to see advancement. They want to wipe out. And let me explain to y'all how this whole thing works, okay? So if you're a 4-star general, okay, you only serve a certain period of time. And so the actions that they are taking are literally destroying. They are destroying the advancement of African Americans and of women. So what they're doing is advancing white men over and over and over again. We keep seeing this, okay? That's what Donald Trump is all about. That's what Peter Hegseth is all about. And this shows you exactly how this administration, how they stand. It is shameful. It is despicable, but it's par for the course for who these folks are and how they operate. And so it just makes no sense whatsoever, and you're going to see it again. And so this is why. Listen, I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, at the Lincoln Theater, and so we're going to be talking about the state of black America, and this is all a part of it. You are seeing the wholesale attack on African Americans. And see, y'all need to understand, this is why I don't have any time. This is why I don't have any energy to spend on gossip and TMZ-related stuff. No, we are seeing Jim Crow 2.0 in our face. And I think enough of us are not responding in the way we should be responding. A lot of us are not as pissed off as we should be pissed off, okay? I can't expend, what Donald Trump is doing with the reflecting pool and the algae, okay, you know what? He's an idiot, okay? Awarding a contract to his friend is corrupt. But these other actions specifically speak to the impact on black people. So we're talking about voting rights. We're talking about what's happening in the military. We're talking about denying of grants. I can go on and on and on. This is what we're seeing. It's happening before our very eyes. And again, a lot of us are just sort of just like moving along and not necessarily thinking it's that big of a deal. But the reality, it is that big of a deal. And I'm telling you, you're going to see more of this. If we do not vote in massive numbers come November, and Republicans still control the House, they still control the Senate, you can't do anything about the White House. Then guess what? it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. You're going to see more of this over and over and over again. We're talking about absolute. Do me a favor. Could you tell them bring that music down some? Okay. So that's what, folks. I'm telling you, that's what's going on. What we are seeing right now is a complete attack on everything black. They have looked at our progress over the last 60 years. They've looked at our progress since we talked about from the civil rights movement, and they are going after it all. They are attacking it all. And if we don't respond the way we should respond, we're going to see more gains lost. And that means that our children and our children's children are going to be living in America that is whiter, that it has less power than this generation. That simply cannot continue. It simply cannot. All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. People Bryson was laid to rest today, and we'll show you some of that next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's a time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say. and they don't ultimately win.
Hi, my name is Freddie Ricks. I'm from Houston, Texas.
My name is Sharon Williams. I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, time for Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
With just one day before Maryland's primaries, a candidate running for Maryland's House of Delegates is caught in a firestorm over the fact that he spent years performing in blackface. Republican Bobby Al Jolson Berger is facing scrutiny over his decades-long career performing in blackface. The 78-year-old is one of 5 Republicans running for a seat representing an area east of Baltimore. Berger said he's proud of his performances. More than 1,000 blackface shows impersonating Al Jolson, an entertainer who performed in blackface in the 1930s. His act cost him a job as a Baltimore police officer back in the 80s, but Berger insists that his act was always about entertainment and not racism. An Alabama man is now free after 42 years in prison for a crime he always insisted he did not commit. Irvin Harris has been sentenced to 99 years in prison after being convicted of rape in 1975. But that conviction was overturned by a judge last week, citing new scientific advances that had not existed at the time of Harris's conviction. Harris's legal team has noted that he did not match the physical description of the suspect's age, height, or facial hair. While the attacker was described as speaking clearly, Harris has a severe speech impediment. The perpetrator also drove the victim around in a car, yet evidence showed that Harris could not drive at all. Furthermore, Harris had a severe contagious sexually transmitted disease at the time, which the victim never contracted. A Georgia family has filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit alleging that their 15-year-old daughter died due to unreasonable delays in ambulance service. In December of 2024, 15-year-old Mandy Sylvester suffered a medical crisis during volleyball practice. The lawsuit alleges that despite a 911 call requesting an ambulance, none was available to respond. The first request was made at approximately 6:09 p.m. The family's attorneys alleged that they were not informed of that shortage until a second 911 call, which was placed more than 20 minutes later. Ultimately, Sylvester's mother was forced to drive her daughter to the hospital herself, while the teen experienced seizures and other medical complications. According to Georgia law, ambulance providers are required to request mutual aid when their own resources are unavailable. Attorney Ben Crump said the lawsuit is seeking accountability and justice for Mandy. A Pennsylvania medical school is facing a federal civil rights complaint over allegations that several scholarship programs discriminate against based on race. Thomas Jefferson University and its Sidney Kimmel Medical College are accused of operating 5 scholarship programs that unlawfully discriminate based on race, including one awarded to specifically for Black male students, and then another that is set up to be given to transgender or gender nonconforming people of color. The complaint is the latest action from the Trump administration as it aggressive targets so-called DEI programming. And the man responsible for putting singers Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, and Alicia Keys on the map has died. Music mogul Clive Davis spent 6 decades at the highest levels of the music business, working with Jennifer Hudson, Earth, Wind & Fire, Dionne Warwick, and a star-studded list of artists. He most recently was Chief Creative Officer of Sony Music Entertainment and was a former head at labels such as Columbia, Arista Records, and J Record. Davis had recently been hospitalized with an upper respiratory infection, and his family announced today that he died at his home in New York City. He was 94 years old. Former Olympic golfer David Hearn is facing criminal charges after taking fragments of paint that surfaced in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. The incident comes amid controversy over the pool's $13 million renovation, part of President Trump's efforts to improve the appearance. Despite the upgrades, algae blooms spread rapidly, and this week, large strips of chunks of blue paint began appearing on the surface of the water. Well, Hearn says he was detained for 5 hours without being allowed a phone call after being arrested on Friday. Hearn's next court appearance is scheduled for July 9th, and he says that he hopes all charges will be dismissed. Hearn also says he's received death threats and believes that he is being made a political example because of the attention surrounding the reflecting pool controversy.
All right, folks, be sure to catch the Breakdown Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network. Again, Breakdown Brittany Noble, noon Eastern on the Black Star Network. Folks, today in Atlanta, the great Peabo Bryson was laid to rest. He died a couple weeks ago at the age of 75 after suffering a devastating stroke. Many of his supporters and fans and colleagues met today in Atlanta for his homegoing service. We streamed that on the Black Star Network. If you missed it, go to our YouTube channel. You can also go to, actually, we're going to be streaming it after today's show. And so one of the folks who, longtime partner, is Regina Bell, the great collaborator. They performed together. BB Winans, Ruben Studdard brought the folks to tears with this singing as well. Here's some of today's homegoing service.
Some prayer to Tanya and the family and his children and friends. It was an honor to stand on stage with people. One of the things I loved about him is because he knew he was talented and he knew he could out-sing anybody. And I'm here just to remind the family, and to remind all of us that God is faithful and he will prove himself faithful to the end. After you've done all you can, after you've done all you can, oh, don't you fear, don't be afraid, don't turn around. After you've done all you can, after you've done all you can, on God's word you stand. So tell me, what do you do when you've done all you can? Seems like it's never enough. Tell me, what do you say when your friends turn away and you're alone, so all alone? And tell me, what do you give when you've given your all? Seems like you can't make it through. Well, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand, watch the Lord see you through. After you've done all you can, you just stand. Oh my, my. Oh, tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with the shame? And tell me, how can you smile when your heart has been broken and filled with pain? Oh, filled with pain. And tell me, what do you give when you've given your all and it seems like you can make it through? Well, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand and watch the Lord see you through. Oh, after you've done all you can, you just and be not in vain, Lord, in the bondage again. You just stand and be sure, because God has a purpose. Oh yes, and He still has a plan. Tell me what. Oh, and you've done all you can, and it seems like you can't make it through. Oh, you just stand. You stand. You hold your head up, and you stand on His word. Oh, you go through the storm, and you go through the rain. You stand through the hurt, and through the hurt, and through the pain. You hold on, and you don't give up, no. You just hold on, and don't you dare give in, because He promised. And if He promised, He will keep His word. I said He'll keep His word. Oh, I love Him, I love Him, I love Him. Oh, I need Him, I need Him. I love Him and I need Him, and I need Him and I love Him, because He promised. Hey, after you've done all you can, you just hold your head up, because my help cometh from the Lord. After you've done all you can, lean not to your own understanding, but lean on His promise. Oh, after you've done all you can, you just square your shoulders and know He's going to come through. Oh, after you've done all you can, you just stand. Don't give up. You stand. Don't give in. You stand and wait on Him, wait on Him. Oh, you just stand. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hey, glory, glory, glory.
Folks, it was a 2.5-hour service, and so like I said, we streamed all of it right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. And so here's what's going to happen. So momentarily, as you see, people are already, of course, packing the crowd here. We're about to start in a second, sitting down with Congressman Joyce Beatty. And so this is Black Daughter and Father Week here in Columbus, and so this event kicks it off. So we're going to be just having our discussion dealing with the state of Black America. And so we're going to stream that live right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so then after that is over, then we will have the restream of the funeral service of Peebo Bryson. Also, let me say, of course, as we know, Peebo Bryson passed away due to a stroke. Yesterday, I happened to be in Baltimore. I'll share some of the video tomorrow. I was in Baltimore yesterday. I stopped by AFRAM, which is, of course, the music festival at Druid Hill Park in Baltimore. And the closer last night was Uncle Charlie Wilson. It was the first time he had performed in 9 months. Charlie Wilson suffered several strokes, as many as 5 strokes. And he almost died. Before the show, he and I had an opportunity to talk and chat and talk about what he went through. He did an interview with Big Boy. It's available on YouTube, I believe, where he talked about his health struggles and what he was dealing with. And he had to learn how to walk again. And so one of the reasons when you watch, when you see him in concert, he's seated at the piano. Normally Uncle Charlie is dancing, he's moving, he's up. But because he is still impacted by those strokes, it limits him. But his voice is still as powerful as ever. And so what we need to understand is that this should be a clarion call for men, but especially for Black men, but also Black women. First of all, listen, men and women suffer strokes, but too often the men are not paying attention to those health signs. Charlie Wilson talked about how he really didn't understand what was going on. It was his wife who noticed all the changes, and she said, no, something is wrong, and that's how he then went and got some help. And so we need to make sure that all these brothers and sisters, that we are watching those signs: high levels of stress, hypertension, diabetes, blood pressure. All of those things impact the body when it comes to stroke. And it's not a question of being, look, People Bryson was 75. Uncle Charlie Wilson is in his 70s as well. But do understand, a number of years ago, a colleague of mine at Robert Freelove, it was a colleague of mine at the Houston Defender. He was a staff writer there. He died of a stroke at the age of 39. And so we have to recognize how serious strokes are and how we are impacted. And I dare say in the past few weeks, I've known of several individuals who have suffered from strokes, who have been impacted. It's completely changed their life. Some survive, but again, parts of their body paralyzed, and who died. I recently had an uncle, 81 years old, who passed away, suffered a stroke. And so, listen, it is a huge issue, and so we cannot advocate more for our brothers and sisters, but especially our brothers, to go to the hospital, to get checked out. Make sure that you're getting your colon checked. Make sure you're getting your annual checkup. All those things are important. It is critically important. So these things are preventable, but we have to also be extremely vigilant and diligent when it comes to our health. It's not just about weight loss. It's also, listen, there are people who are in peak condition. In fact, there was a journalist, it was a longtime editor, passed away of a heart attack, age 63. Folks in their 50s. And so I need us to understand that health is wealth. And again, here you had two prominent singers. And in fact, before I came here, I was looking at a clip of Luther Vandross. And remember, Luther Vandross suffered a massive stroke. And so three major voices, P.O. Bryson, Luther Vandross, Charlie Wilson, two of them have passed away. And Luther had his stroke. He died 2 years later. P.O. had his stroke. And then it was a couple of days later when he was gone as well. And so I certainly condolences go out to P.O. Bryson's family. And I really hope that we use this opportunity to double check our health. Folks, we're about to start this program here in Columbus. It's the State of Black America. I've done this, I think, 3 times previously. I'm going to be on stage with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. It's a conversation you don't want to miss because we'll talk further about what we are dealing with in this country. Ohio, critical U.S. Senate race in this state. Critical governor's race in this state. And you've got MAGA folks who are running in both positions. And so we need to recognize what's going on. So let's do this right here, of course. We're going to go to a break. And then when we come back, we'll be live from the Lincoln Theater here in Columbus, Ohio, for the State of Black America conversation with myself and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. We had some major technical issues. I hate the fact that we could not get our panel in full, so let me thank Ome Congo, Thelma Anderson, as well as Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver for joining us as well. And so again, for the next 2 hours, State of Black America here in Columbus. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. I'm sure Congresswoman Beatty may have something to say about suing Donald Trump over the JFK Center. And then, of course, after this discussion, then we'll have the restream of the homegoing service with the great P.O. Bryson. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Be sure to support the work that we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each. You get us $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Listen, we don't have some big corporate partner writing our checks. We don't have millionaires and billionaires supporting us. The reality is it is your support, your viewing support. When you watch on YouTube, that drives that revenue. When you are supporting us with your donations, it allows us to be able to travel the country and cover your story. You got what's happening in Senatobia, Mississippi, where that young black boy was killed, 1 year old was killed. Ben Crump, they actually were there today. We're going to be covering that story We may actually make that go down there as well. So lots of things are going to be focused on. So then, support the work we do. Join us via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. Of course, that's also for credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. When we come right back, we'll be live here at the Lincoln Theater in Columbus for State of Black America. Back in a moment.
Work to engage, educate, and
all right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, a hip hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
know, all right? let's flip it. OH. Thank you for your help. I appreciate that. Congresswoman Beatty setting me up for success. All right. So listen, y'all, I want to take the opportunity to share a couple of things before we actually get deep into the agenda, which is going to be powerful and amazing. But I have some housekeeping things that I need to address, including make sure that your phones are off, because I just heard one before it came out. And, yep, I'm calling y'all out. And then the other part is I'm going to share some history and some background that I think is important to kind of set the tone for tonight. And so I'm going to start with who am I, right? So for those that don't know, my name is Kevin Lloyd. I am the founder of ColumbusBlack.com and the co-founder of MILE, which stands for Make Your Life Entertaining. And ColumbusBlack.com has been around for 20 years. We've been a vehicle to provide information to our community and help support to get the word out and connect people to commerce and culture and be a part of events like this. And that's very important for our community, and we want to continue to do that and have another 20 years. The other side is MILE. MILE stands for Make Your Life Entertaining. And it's an event technology platform. So all of you that registered for tonight's event, you didn't do it through Eventbrite. You didn't do it through Ticketmaster. You did it through a black-owned platform that was founded in Columbus, Ohio, right? And that's pretty amazing because of the fact that we talk about how we should work together, how we support each other, and that's exactly what we're doing right here in our city. And so really proud of that. My wife Sherry will be here in a little bit, but she was the visionary behind MILE, and it's definitely expanded over the last 12 years to a point that we actually do things outside of Columbus, right? And so we had the honor of having MILE as a platform utilized for the World Cup as well as for the Super Bowl. And there's a lot of cool things we do, but it's nothing more important than when we come home right here to Central Ohio and we're utilized by organizations like the Ohio Black Expo. When Sherry and Butch Hamilton come together and say, hey, we want to use a black-owned platform because we want to represent our businesses all throughout, and now they utilize us, and they've done that for the last couple of years. When we work with NPHC Columbus, and I happen to be a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, yo to the Noops, yo. And I got to get it out there now because when Roland gets on stage, y'all already know it's going to be alpha, 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 right? We all already know. So I got to do what I got to do now, and we know the Deltas are going to go crazy when Congresswoman Beatty comes up, so I got to get my shout out. And so I share that because locally, though, the support is so important. Like, people don't understand how important it is to get support at home right here. And so we really appreciate those opportunities. There's another company, is East Chop Capital, owned by Carrington Carter. And they are an real estate investment company. They use us for their investment meetings that take place around the country, including Martha's Vineyard this upcoming August. And last but not least, Jewel Woods, and I'm going to get into how we even got here, but Jewel Woods has been a major advocate for both ColumbusBlack.com and for MILE, and this is the epitome of how we can work together. Like, this shows you. And so, ironically, my youngest daughter, Madison, and his daughter, Aquia, were friends, and that's how Jewel and I met. One thing led to another, and as we talked about how we had a mutual interest in supporting the black community, pulling our community together, working together, and helping to elevate, not just here in Central Ohio, but abroad, we realized we should work together on certain things. And with his vision behind the State of Black America and Black Girl Dad Week, it has been an amazing experience. I will tell you, even though tonight will be powerful, I've been tied to hundreds, if not thousands of events throughout my time. And I would say the best event I've ever been to in my life is the Black Father-Daughter Dance. It is the most beautiful, beautiful experience for those young ladies and their fathers in that environment. And this is Jewel's vision and what he's doing. So I'm excited to be a part of it. So let's talk about Jewel just for one moment, because I felt like we needed to connect the dots. And this is in regards to Male Behavioral Health, which is the organization that's pulling this all together. Male Behavioral Health exists to educate, advocate, and bring attention to the profound mental, emotional, and behavioral health needs of men and boys through research, training, and direct practice. Founded by Jewel Woods, the organization serves individuals, organizations, and helping professionals using a unique therapeutic approach known as masculinist therapy, otherwise known as MT. And I have to say this about Jewel because he won't. Jewel shows a lot of humility, and he's very humble. But Jewel is the kind of brother also that spends his life pouring into others every single day, y'all. But what I'll tell you is, if you know a young black male, a grown black man, or if it happens to be you yourself and life has become overwhelming, especially from a mental health perspective, I encourage you to reach out to him. We understand the plight of what we're dealing with, not just now, but historically. And it's a lot. And we need help. And there's nothing wrong with saying we need help. And we have an amazing brother that does it every single day. So let's not try to go through it alone. Let's leverage the help that we have, and we have the professional expertise to do that. Now, there's a few things I want to share about how we got here with the State of Black America 3. Last year, we had, obviously, the State of Black America 2. We want to give a shout out to those that were involved last year because it takes a lot of leadership. And what we did differently last year is we engaged our faith-based leaders from around Central Ohio, and that was led by Bishop Timothy J. Clark, Reverend Joseph Stanley Jr., Pastor Mike Young, and Pastor Derek Holmes. We also had some representation from the Ohio Black Legislative Caucus Foundation with President Shayla L. Davis, and we had Representative Dontavius Geralds, who's always out and involved in the community, and then we had Michael D. Cole. Those were the leaders that really helped us have a monumental and impactful conversation last year, and now we're going to have that happen all over again for year 3. Something that's important before we go on is you'll notice, if you didn't earlier on the screen, there was a little QR code down in the corner, and it was bubbling around a little bit. You also may have received a handout when you came in that has a QR code on it. And that QR code is set up, and it's set up for the support through donations for the Black Star Network and Roland Martin. We believe that Black-owned media is very imperative to us in our community, and we need to be able to have a voice on our behalf. So if your mind, your heart, your spirit, and definitely your pockets feel at some point that you want to contribute, you can scan the QR code and you can donate. Now, what I learned from Roland last year, besides a lot of really powerful information, was that everybody does not know how to use a QR code. And he said, no, show them how to do it and start from the beginning. And I said, no, they know how to do it. He said, no, show them how to do it. So very quickly and easily, y'all, I'm going to just walk through the steps. I won't show you. But if you pull out your phone, right, go to your camera. When you go to your camera, you're going to be able to see the QR code on the screen. Don't take a picture of it, all right, unless you want it for later. So what you do is you wait, and then the link is going to pop up. When you see the little bubble with the link, you tap the link, it'll take you to the page, and you can make the donation, all right? And so that's how we use the QR codes, right? So you'll have that a couple of different times throughout the show tonight or the event tonight, and so that's how we'll use that, all right? Now, I am literally about to wrap up right here, y'all, and that means that somebody else is about to take the stage. And so I want to make sure I give the proper introduction. I told you about male behavioral health, but I didn't tell you everything about Jewel besides him being a really great brother. Jewel Woods is the founder and clinical director of Male Behavioral Health in the Center for Men and Boys. He is a licensed independent social worker with supervision designation and brings over 20 years of advocacy experience working with and on behalf of diverse individuals and communities. Jewel holds a Master of Arts in Sociology and a Master's degree in Social Work. He currently serves as an adjunct faculty member at the University of Michigan School of Social Work. We're going to give him some grace, y'all. State up north. Yep, we're going to give him some grace. And that's where he teaches graduate level courses. Now, keep in mind, this brother's on a road. He's here, he's all over the state, and he goes up there, won't name the state, comes back down here to home. He's very busy, y'all. A former Ford Foundation New Voices Fellow, Jewel was also selected for the University of Chicago Minority Scholar Program and was a participant in the Fragile Family Study Training Workshop at Columbia University. As a seasoned therapist and respected speaker, Jewel has presented at the United Nations and delivered talks at colleges and universities across the United States and internationally. He is an author and gender analyst whose perspectives on men and boys in American society have been featured on national television, radio programs, and news outlets. His writings appear in both academic and popular media, including Psychology Today, Miss Magazine, Essence, Ebony, The Huffington Post, The Dallas Morning News, The Cleveland Plain Dealer, and The Philadelphia Inquirer. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the founder of Male Behavioral Health Inc., my friend and brother, Jewel Woods.
You don't know how much I dislike that, honestly. No, seriously. So much of what I do actually is to be silent behind. So I'm a therapist, right? So what I do is I traffic in secrets. And for the most part, it is one of my greatest honors and pleasures is to have men pour into me and tell me things that they have not told anybody else. And so for me, it's always important to kind of be in the background. With that being said, though, this does provide an opportunity for me to, at least foreground a question, which is, why are we here? For some of you, you might be here because you like to be around black excellence. For some of you, you might be here because you say that even though I don't know the answers to the question, I am absolutely committed to being a part of the solution. Some of you might just be here to see Roland and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, which is cool. But let me just tell you why I'm here. I am here because several years ago, as Kevin mentioned, it became really important for me to kind of figure out a way to highlight what black men do every day that oftentimes just does not get the sort of attention it needs, which is to show up and show out for their families and their communities. And the reality is that we can't face half the things that we're going to be talking about tonight if our communities, and particularly our families, are not strong. And so it was really important for me to kind of create this week that we now know as Black Girl Dad Week. So I want to say two things, and then I want to invite up some of our community partners, because it's really important for you to know that this is a week, right? It's not just about a dance, and it's not even just about State of Black America. It's about the week-long series of events designed to actually do some good community mental health. So I'm going to ask Dr. Price to come up, Brother Jasper to come up, and Pastor Julius to come up. And I'll mention a little bit about the week, and I want them to say what their role is, because it's really important, and then we'll get into the conversation. So this is Monday Politics Night, right? We get an opportunity to talk about the State of Black America. But Tuesday through Thursday, we are actually doing a 3-part series on marriage and family therapy in the black community. Now, why is that important? We can talk about black love all the time, and if you don't know, good people do get divorced. Did y'all know that? Right? Did you know that everybody that's bad don't work out? Right. So the reality is, the question becomes not if, but when people struggle, when particularly men and boys struggle with trying to communicate, trying to talk about their needs, the question becomes what sort of support there is. So I have had the fortune of walking through and supporting men at various stages, and so we're doing 3-part. First is before divorce. Hopefully that's the longest thing. Second is during divorce, and the third is after divorce. So Tuesday, before divorce; Wednesday, during divorce; Thursday, after divorce. Each of those are very different stages in people's relationship. You agree? Each of those stages require different levels of support, and I can talk about that. So what I want to do right now is just to bring Dr. Price, and she's co-facilitating part 3, and she can say a little bit word about that as well.
Not really tall enough for this podium. I am Dr. Angela Price. I am the owner and founder of Price is Right Counseling and Consultation. Right is spelled R-Y-T-E, realizing your true essence. And that is ideally what comes after divorce. It is a major shift, a major transition, and you're going through the process of grieving and also likely having to take care of little people or big people, depending what phase of life that you're in. So you're trying to navigate all of these things at once, and it's okay to need support, and it's okay to ask for help. So Thursday, I'm going to be talking, but I'm really hoping it's going to be a conversation of how we can support each other, whether it's through family, friends, religion, how we can support each other, and how we can start to have those conversations so that people don't have to go through it in a silo.
Okay, so that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? I am super excited to talk about Friday, though, right now. And Friday is a call to men, special focus on ending domestic violence in the black community. Now, I heard some amens and all that sort of stuff in there. But let me just say something really important. 2 things you will never get from me, and that is calling out black men. Not because, for example, I don't, believe in minimizing, I don't understand domestic violence and all that sort of stuff. In fact, what you might not know is well before my history in mental health, I did 10 years where I ran battery intervention programs in prisons and jails, so I know that front and back. The question becomes, how do we call in black men and other men to this movement? The reality is that only a small fraction of people are involved in domestic violence, but it's more than enough, and we need to get more men into this movement to end domestic violence in the black community. You agree? All right. So with that being said, I have two gentlemen to talk about why they actually have chosen to actually be a part of this movement. This just doesn't start today, but I certainly want to invite everybody to our Call to Men event on Friday. And at this time, I'm going to ask Pastor Julius Lancaster to talk about why he chose to host that event.
Good evening, everyone. Look at your neighbor really quick and tell them that they're in the right place at the right time. My name is Pastor Julius, and I have the luxury of pastoring 314 Church here in Columbus, Ohio. And one of the things that I've realized after my good brother Jewel and I had conversation is just how serious domestic violence has become in our community. The reality is that over the last several years, over 150% it has risen in our community. Family, that means that we've got work to do, amen? And so I'm excited to host this. We started a movement entitled Mentality at our church, 314 Church, and we're going to host this event simply because we believe that good men have to be a part of the solution. We have to make sure that we're protecting the women. We have to make sure that we realize not only can we quote statistics, but the reality is that those statistics are our mothers. Those statistics are our sisters. Those statistics are our daughters. And we have to make sure that we are there for them because they've supported us for so long, black women have. Amen? They've got cars in their names for us. They fought for us. They've stood up for us over the years, and at least we can stand up for them now, amen? So we want to invite you all out to 314 Church this coming Friday, June 26th, a call to men Columbus, black men against. I can't wait for you to be a part of this conversation, amen.
Okay, and I'm super, super excited about this because this is evidence of the work already. Roland has always challenged us and in some ways kind of cracked jokes when we've had this event, when he looked out in the audience and he saw all these beautiful old folks, right? And his question was, where's the young people? So clearly part of what we have to do moving forward in every aspect is to actually get more young men involved. And so I'm excited to actually, if y'all don't see all those beautiful young men over there, that's from the Ubuntu Leadership Institute. This is our next generation of leaders, fathers, husbands, brothers, and for them to be exposed to this is absolutely important and almost unprecedented. So with that being said, I'm so excited to actually bring into you their leader and founder to talk about why he felt like it was important for his young men to be exposed to this message, Jasper Pearson.
Great day, family. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. Y'all looking great. When Joel said old folks, everybody looked to their right and looked to their left, trying to figure out who he was talking about, right? But no, super excited about being in this space. We don't take for granted the moments and the opportunities that we get to get our young people in front of those who have trailblazed and continue to figure out how to solve the solutions and the problems and the issues that are going on in our community. We have an amazing group, as Brother Jewel mentioned, in the back there, and from all different types of backgrounds, connected to all different types of experiences, carrying a whole bunch of trauma, but coming together in Ubuntu Leadership Institute to be able to unfold that, to deal with that, to see themselves as the solution.
And so we're excited about being in this space because, as Brother Jules said, there'll be fathers. There'll be husbands of your daughters. There'll be men in the community who will lead our community. And so it's yes, you can clap for that, yes. And so I'm extremely proud and grateful to be a part of this work that we're doing. We're currently at Ohio State University running Ubuntu Leadership Institute, exposing them to college and career pathways. We're leveraging esports and cybersecurity and artificial intelligence and all the things that a lot of times they don't get in our school buildings, to expose them to the opportunities to see themselves as the leaders that they are. And so as we talk about domestic violence and we talk about the things that happen in our communities that find our way to really put us in a situation where we need healing, we have to start with our young people. We have to focus on them, and we have to make sure that it is a priority. And so we're bringing these amazing, beautiful black young men into the space to have conversation, to see other male leaders in the space, to see fathers and husbands and leaders in this space doing this work. So we're thankful and we're grateful. God bless you, and peace.
Okay. All right, moving all along. So let me just say real quickly just about that, because it really is a kind of a button. What we're saying is that if you have a fatherhood program, a mentorship program, a rites of passage program, if you're an athletic coach, we can no longer talk about raising good men without talking about the safety and security of women and girls, okay? That has to be about our conception of manhood, right? We can't do those things and then create unsafe families, environments, or relationships. So that's what we're calling men and boys into in our black community. So excited about that. So at this particular time, is that good? That's a good message? That's a good movement? Absolutely. So right now, we are going to go and have a wonderful performance by Dance Elite Performance Academy, also affectionately known as DEPA. Do I need to? Give it up for these young people. DEPA, Dance Elite Performance Academy. Go ahead and start the video there. All right. We're going to be doing some house cleaning on the quick. So in 2 seconds, I'm actually direct your attention to the screen. As I mentioned to you, one of the really important things that we're doing this week is just a call to men. And the reality is, part of what we have an opportunity to do as we talk about ending domestic violence in the black community is to really destroy some myths. You know, one of the most important myths, or kind of sustaining myths out there, is that if you're a person doing work with men and boys, that somehow you're not doing work for women and girls. And somehow if you're doing work focused on women and girls, that you're somehow not interested in what's happening to men and boys. So we are absolutely interested and committed to destroying that myth. And one of the ways in which we are excited to do that is to start an annual tradition of offering 2 awards for people who represent this balance, the balance of focusing not just on one gender, but on both genders. So in 1 second, we'll be looking at a video, and I think the first video is going to be our Tony Porter Award. First annual. There we go, it's coming.
First annual Bell Hooks Award.
Well, we'll do Bell Hooks first then.
This award recognizes a woman who has demonstrated outstanding leadership, advocacy, and long-standing commitment to supporting women and girls, while also championing the humanity, healing, growth, and development of black men and black boys. Named in honor of the groundbreaking scholar, author, feminist, and cultural critic Bell Hooks, this award reflects courageous leadership rooted in love, accountability, truth-telling, healing, and community transformation. Bell Hooks consistently challenged communities to think deeply about race, gender, trauma, relationships, and liberation, while emphasizing the importance of partnership, compassion, and collective healing. The Bell Hooks Award honors women who advocate fiercely for women and girls, support the healthy development of black men and black boys, promote healing, dialogue, accountability, and community empowerment, lead with courage, integrity, empathy, and vision, help create healthier relationships, families, and communities. And the winner is...
Ashley Glass, founder of Black Women Cultivating Change. Dr. Celia Williamson, Executive Director of Human Trafficking and Social Justice. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Okay, we might hold on for Congresswoman's award a little bit later on because we have a surprise for her. But let me just bring up one of the persons who's here today. Dr. Celia Williamson could not make it, but I am super excited that one of our community partners from across the state, if I haven't told you, Male Behavioral Health works throughout the state. So at this particular time, I'd like to bring Ashley Glass to accept her award. Ashley Glass is a devoted mother of 3 daughters and proudly identifies as a health equity catalyst and creative with a strong passion for advocacy. Ashley is deeply committed to improving access to mental and maternal health services within the black community. She possesses a natural talent for critical thinking, building meaningful connections, and elevating voices. She is the founder of Black Women Cultivating Change, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to reducing stigma around mental health. If you look at it, they have about 3,000 folks in Cincinnati, so they're doing great work. In addition to her advocacy and leadership, Ashley is a creative storyteller and has produced 3 impactful documentaries that amplify community voices and highlight health disparities. So thank you, and help me welcome Ashley Glass for receiving the first annual Bell Hooks Award. Thank you so much, my sister. All right.
A few words. Okay. Just want to thank Jewel so much. So just wanted to share a little bit about how we connected. So Jewel was going around the state doing listening sessions for Black suicide, and I connected with him with that and just admire your passion, your authenticity, your tenacity, your just the willingness you are to build trust and amplify the voices of the Black community. And just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you do. I know it's not an easy job, but just want to thank you for everything that you do. So.
All right. Can you get a picture? All right. Oh, okay. That's cheesy. All right, thank you. Congresswoman Beatty, we'll go save yours, okay? All right, we got something special for you. Now, next is the Tony Porter Award. We're actually moving through this. Tony Porter Award video should be coming up. There you go.
First Annual Tony Porter Award. This award recognizes a man who has demonstrated outstanding leadership, commitment, and advocacy on behalf of women, girls, families, and communities, while also supporting the healthy emotional, relational, and community development of Black men and Black boys. Named in honor of internationally recognized educator, activist, and co-founder of A Call to Men, this award celebrates leaders who embody courage, accountability, integrity, emotional wellness, and a commitment to ending violence while promoting healthier forms of masculinity and gender justice. The Tony Porter Award honors men who advocate for the protection and empowerment of women and girls, challenge violence, abuse, sexism, and harmful masculinity, lead with humility, compassion, accountability, and integrity. And the winner is...
County Administrator Kenneth Wilson and Sean Hart, Executive Director of Involved Dad. Sean is not here tonight, but the County Administrator Kenneth Wilson is here. If you could come up and accept this award. Did you see all those qualities for this thing? Compassionate, integrity, commitment, love for Black men, love for Black women and girls. We are so excited to offer this award. Kenneth Wilson was appointed County Administrator in January 2015. As County Administrator, the highest unelected post in the county government, Mr. Wilson leads 15 county agencies with more than 1,400 employees. He oversees the county's annual $2.2 billion budgeting process for 35 agencies. He holds a Master's of Public Administration from Ohio University and a Bachelor of Arts from James Madison College at Michigan State University. Mr. Wilson serves as a national member for the National Forum for Black Public Administrators, Board of Directors, Kappa Alpha Psi, Columbus Alumni Chapter, Board of Directors, Executive Committee, immediate past president of the National Association of County Administrators, and serves as an active member for International City Council. And you can see the brother has all types of degrees. So what we're most interested in is honoring him in this way for leading this sort of vision of what it means to work together in our community. So let's thank Mr. Wilson for all he's done, and so excited to give him this award.
I'll be brief. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Woods, for the work that you do, bringing attention to healthy relationships. Black Girl Dad Week is extremely important. I stand here as the father of 2 adult young ladies, but I'm still going to be a black girl dad for life. It's something I can't retire from. I'm dedicated to my family. My wife, sitting there, Reese, is my reason why I stand here right now trying to do positive things, and relationships are hard. So we need people like you, Dr. Woods, giving people the tools for healthy relationships. Mentorship is very important in my final words. There's been some very positive male role models that I've been blessed to be around very early in my career here in Franklin County and Columbus, and they're a big reason why I'm here. I stand here as well, and I want to thank those whose shoulders I stood on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, brother. All right. All right, y'all ready for rolling in Congresswoman Joyce Beatty? All right. Well, let me just apologize because this happens all the time, and I always have to tell people that the only doctor in my household is actually my wife, who's over there. So I will have the PhD eventually, but the reality is she's the only doctor in the household as of now. So at this particular time, I want to invite a special guest to, well, actually, we're going to introduce Roland first. So if Representative Dontavius Geralds would come to the stage, we're going to introduce our panelists, and we'll be getting right into the fireside chat.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing today? Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing today? If you can do me the first 5 seconds of my time, if we can congratulate and honor Dr. Woods and the male behavioral health for this fantastic event we about to have. Again, I think you all can do a little bit better than that, y'all. It is truly my honor and my privilege to introduce one of the most influential and truly great voices of American journalism and black media today, Roland S. Martin. First off, let me just say, don't let this light blues fool you. I'm a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, so he's a dear brother of mine, and truly just an award-winning journalist, a political commentator, an author, a media entrepreneur, and he has built a career at the intersections of news, social justice, and unapologetic truth-telling on behalf of Black America. Roland Martin is the founder and host of the Roland Martin Unfiltered, a pioneering daily digital news show that delivers in-depth reporting and analysis on politics, culture, and economic empowerment, and truly from the Black perspective. He has previously served as commentator for CNN, appearing regularly on programs such as The Situation Room, AC 360, and was the host and managing editor of TV One's News One Now and the Washington March with Roland Martin. I think that deserves a round of applause, y'all. Across print, television, radio, digital platforms, Martin has interviewed U.S. presidents, global leaders, civil rights icons, and culture figures, consistently centering our issues around voting rights, criminal justice reform, economic equity, and media representation. And as a former executive editor of the historic Chicago Defender and longtime senior analysis for the Tom Joyner Morning Show. Y'all remember that, y'all? Y'all remember that? He has been repeatedly named one of the most influential African Americans in the nation by outlets including Ebony, Jet, and The Root. I just want to say on a personal front, before I was elected, he actually came to the State House. And I never forget, he was wearing almost the same suit I was wearing. And I thought he was the coolest black man in the room. And he spoke unapologetically about the issues facing Black America, but centered on holding elected officials accountable to do the right thing. That's the thing that I love about him the most. And I stand on his shoulders and the shoulders of, obviously, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, our fearless icon of our own in Columbus. So, Roland Martin is the author of several books, including Speak Brother, A Black Man's View of America, Listening to the Spirit Within, the first Black President Barack Obama, Road to the White House, and White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Ain't that truth, y'all? Come on. So please join me with the loudest applause you can in welcoming a trailblazer for independent Black media, a powerful champion for democracy and economic empowerment, Roland S. Martin, to the state of Black America. Let's go! Let's go! Appreciate you.
Now we have a surprise for Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. We have a special person who's going to introduce her. that's coming up. He looks so handsome, just to let you know. So as he walks on the stage, I want you all to give a big round of applause to her grandson, Congresswoman grandson.
I'm Spencer, and good evening, everyone. My name is Spencer, and I have a very special job today. I get to introduce my grandma, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Now, a lot of people know her as a congresswoman. They know she represents Ohio's 3rd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. They know she has worked for many years to help people stand up for fairness, support small businesses, protect voting rights, and make sure more people have opportunities. She has also made history. She was also the first woman to serve as a Democratic leader in the Ohio House of Representatives, and she later became chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. But I know her as my grandma, and being her grandson means I know something else about her. She cares deeply about people, she works very hard, and she is not afraid to speak up when something matters. She has been a leader in Ohio and in Congress. So please join me in welcoming someone I am very proud to call my grandma, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Excellent. Didn't he do well? All right, that's excellent. I don't think I should be in the middle. I think you should be in the middle. Okay. All right. You're just telling me what to do. All right. Thank you all for your patience. I know this is what you've been waiting for. Such a long day, I had to write my questions down, so bear with me. First and foremost, Congresswoman Beatty, we missed you last year. I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad you're in good health. So the last time, it's been 2 years since you were here. Right. I want to just broaden it out and just ask the questions. When you think about the current state of democracy, what are some of the great challenges or threats facing black political participation and representation today in your mind?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you, and I'm glad I am healthy and here this year. But you messed me up with my grandson. So let me just say, Spencer, thank you. I love you. And that is what this program does for young black boys. And he is a young black man, and he has gentleman skills, and he practices with my granddaughter, Leah, who is also here. So you can help black boys and black girls at the same time. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you, and it's always a pleasure to be here with my good friend, Roland Martin. When I think about where we are now, and I think about the world we're in and this democracy, I go straight to voting rights. And later I will connect it to everything that you stand for and everything this community needs. But let me just say to you something I know you know, but worth repeating. It is so much more sophisticated now. It's no more counting jelly beans in a jar, poll taxes, and literacy tests. Now they are coming at us, and I'm going to say in 3 ways quickly. First, they're trying to make sure they dilute our representation. And that's what they've been doing in lawsuits across the country, whether it was Louisiana versus Cali, taking away Section 2 of the voting rights, whether it was then making sure that people couldn't get registered by intimidation and bullying, which we just saw here in Ohio, in Cleveland. The FBI, under this administration, raided a satellite voting registration office in Cleveland, and right here in this community came to the home of our directors and tried to intimidate them, but they were lucky that the director's husband is a brilliant young lawyer, Kyle Strickland. And so he knew better to let them intimidate him, but most people wouldn't. And then you get to the other thing that they're doing, and that's gerrymandering and redistricting so we can no longer have representation. 2 years ago, through a lawsuit in Louisiana, we went from 1 to 2 members of Congress. 2 because we needed it. Louisiana is made up of 30% of the voting electorate are black folks. So we got 2. And just as easy as we got it, Jewel, they just took it away a week ago. And Cleo Fields, who came to Congress 28 years ago at the age of 28, then the same thing happened. 4 years later, he left Congress to come back, still under 60 years of age and serving 1 term, and they've done away with his seat. A black man. I could go to Alabama. I could go more, but I'm going to just do Alabama. Terry Sewell, who has been the single black representative in Congress from Alabama, fought hard. We got Shamari Figures, black man, lawyer, young, scholarly. They just made his district 29 or 30% Democrat, so it would be difficult in the South for him to win. And we could go on. We could talk about South Carolina. We could talk about Cleaver. And just 3 days ago in Georgia, we have 5 representatives from our caucus. They're taking away 3 of the seats. Yes, black seats. So the target is on us. And so that's what we're dealing with. So we have to make sure that people across the United States understand how important it is to get registered and to vote. To get registered and to vote. Voting is not an accessory to anything. It is mandatory for us to speed up our game, because here's what we know. Right here in this community, I don't have a black district. So Ohio also could be a target. And when I ran for the United States Congress, but for the black folks voting for me, which at that time was only about 18%. And thank you, because I think I got all 18%, thanks to you all. And I was able to win by a very small margin, but it was early vote. It was black folks understanding that in this great state of Ohio, where we always said you have to go through Ohio for the presidency. Well, think about this. Prior to my being elected, in this great state, we had only had 1 black person, and each one of the 3 of them had been from Cleveland, Ohio. Coming north, coming south, we had never had black representation in Ohio but for 1 person. And when you think it started with Lou Stokes, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, Marsha Fudge, and Chantel Brown, all from Cleveland, which was 88% black. They won because when black people vote, we what? We win. And so we're part of history here in the capital city. And we can't afford to lose this by not getting registered and not voting.
Anything you want to add to that question, Roland?
So, always glad to be here back in Columbus. Always good to be with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And so I certainly appreciate coming back. Also, I'm a firm believer about speaking outside of the room. And so just like in previous years, you should be putting on your social media, texting folks if they're not here. They can actually watch this. Just simply go to my YouTube channel or our Black Stud Network app. One of the reasons why owning is so important is you don't have to ask permission. And one of the things that, we did the All Roads Lead to the South march in Montgomery. There have been other actions taking place. If you go to freedomsummer2026.com, we were there. We actually broadcast from there and streamed it to 50 other platforms because we wanted maximum reach. And so we're doing the same thing here. And that's important because we should not look at this. We should not look at this as an event to just come and listen. Reverend Dr. Bishop Barber and I always talk about this here. These really should be operating as what we call teach-ins, or citizenship education training. If anyone understands the history of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, everyone talks about Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, but the reality is you could not even join SCLC unless you actually went through the citizenship education program of Dr. Dorothy Cotton. That is critically important because they actually did full assessments. Did you fully understand nonviolence? Did you understand what they were working on? And I believe one of the greatest problems that we have today, all across this country, pick a state, pick a city, pick a community, is that we have completely abandoned and abdicated education. And what I mean by that is political education. Political education ties to economic education. It ties to social. It all goes together. And so the reality is we sit here today at this event as black people worse off than a year ago. And I believe that too many of us are walking around as if we are in a zombie movie, believing that things really haven't changed much. When the reality is you've had 800,000 African Americans unemployed in the last year. You saw black unemployment dramatically increase. It went up to 7.2, 7.3% under the twice impeached, criminally convicted con man in chief. Last month, it went down to 6.6% only because a lot of black folks checked out of the labor market. Remember, black unemployment was at its lowest in recorded history under Biden-Harris at 4.8%. So you go from 4.8% under Biden-Harris to a hot 7.3, but now 6.6, but it's going to go back up. You have that. Two, what you also have, you have had a complete effort, and I've been yelling and screaming this, and it just keeps coming true, to defund black America. You have a direct attack on the entire, and I mean, people understand, the entire black infrastructure / ecosystem. If you look at what's going on, this is not just Washington, D.C. It's states as well. It's counties. It's cities. They are attacking political. They're attacking economic. They're attacking social. They're attacking education because they literally are pissed off at the 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 Voting Rights Act, 1968 Fair Housing Act, but you've got to go back further. They are ticked off with the 3 Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. So we have to recognize that we have an extreme court, not a Supreme Court. And just to understand, again, how crazy this is. You heard Congresswoman Beatty talk about the Louisiana versus Calais decision. This is what is so insane. This is literally the same extreme court that ruled that Louisiana racially discriminated against black people to create the seat. They literally ruled that Alabama racially discriminated. The Alabama legislature comes back, defies the court, refuses to draw it, draws a racially discriminatory map, and then says, let's go back and get one more shot, and they did. That happened. Today, the Supreme Court refused to hear a challenge to a lower court ruling that came out of Arkansas, and I've been warning folk for the last 3 years this case was coming, that they are not. The lawsuit said only the Department of Justice can file discriminatory lawsuits again when it comes to voting rights. So that lawsuit was designed to prevent the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committed for Civil Rights Under Law, ACLU, Black Voters Matter, or any group from filing lawsuit. Conservative court ruled in their favor. Conservative appeals court ruled in their favor. Supreme Court just allowed lower the stand. So in those 8 states, and look, Missouri is one of them, but these are not populous states for African Americans. In these 8 states, then the only folk who can file a lawsuit is Trump's Department of Justice. Do not be shocked to see that exact same lawsuit filed in the 4th Circuit, the 5th Circuit. That's going to hit all of them. And so we have to understand this. Under Biden-Harris, the last year, $10 billion in federal contracts. Only 2%, but it was the highest amount ever. Under Trump, that number is already down to 1.2%. They want to wipe out. I have talked to black contractors, folks who have done amazing work, contracts frozen. Not only that, the attack against DEI has completely altered every black nonprofit in America. Some have seen the eradication of up to 80-90% of their funding. The black folks who worked in those corporate offices no longer are there. They've been gutted and wiped out. Corporations today are completely afraid to fund black events because the Trump administration is so devious and so evil that you just take telecommunications companies, his FCC, they literally look at the list of all the things that these companies are sponsoring. And if they see black, Latino, if they see Asian, if they see female, they say, you got to cut all that out or we're not going to approve your mergers. We're not going to approve your acquisitions. That's Brendan Carter, FCC chair. So you've never had in American history where an occupant of the Oval Office, because I will never, ever give him the title of president. You have never, ever had an occupant of the Oval Office use the power of the office to attack, demean, degrade, and target corporations, law firms, nonprofits. This entire national ecosystem is afraid of this man. And the problem is we have too many people who are afraid to challenge him, afraid to call him out, and we know he can't stand her because out of all those damn people sitting on the board of the Kennedy Center, she was the only one that filed the lawsuit. One, and they are so childish that if you drive by the Kennedy Center, they have a massive tarp covering up the name because he's so mad that they take his name off the building. We need to understand the level of evil. And the last thing I'll say this here. The New York Times just reported Pete Hegseth is so racist. He is so racist that he is personally removing black generals, women generals from being promoted because he said they supported diversity. He just removed a black man from being appointed, and the review board picked his brother, number 1, and chose a white man who was number 3, but they have the audacity to talk about merit. We need to realize that this is Jim Crow 2.0 right now, and too many of us are not acting like it.
You know, I'm actually feeling like I just want to get out of the way and let these conversations, but...
I told you to throw them questions out.
Right. So, Congresswoman...
No, I'm going to make some comments to say thank you.
So 100%. So, Congresswoman, please feel free to, sort of add on to that. But I'm specifically interested, since rolling with national, anything in Ohio that makes you want to talk about the specific challenges and opportunities. You mentioned, for example, what happened in Cleveland. Is there anything that you see that specifically might be something we need to pay attention to about what will be happening here in Ohio moving forward, specifically in the next 2 or 3 years?
I think if we go back to what Roland says, it all relates to Ohio. When you look at, let me thread the needle for you. The reason it's important for us to register and vote, because you get the outcomes of who you elect. And so when you want to talk about our black little boys and girls and them telling them that they can't read books like Amanda Gordon, Toni Morrison, First Lady Michelle Obama, because they don't want them to have the hope or the knowledge of seeing that they can be what we know they can be. If you want to talk about health care, but for President Obama, we would not have had the Affordable Care Act. Young college kids wouldn't have been able to stay on their parents' insurance over 26, and everybody in this auditorium wouldn't have been insured because we've all had a pre-existing condition. If you've had a cold, your tonsils out, stitches, a baby, everyone has had a pre-existing. So it's important when you think about education, health care, mental health, when you talk about wealth and economics, it's all on who you elect. And if you elect people because they're popular or they give you a great speech, then you're getting what you deserve. You have to have somebody that's going to give you hope, somebody who is unapologetically black and not afraid to say it, but someone who can dance and walk in every room. Because let me tell you, I left Columbus, Ohio, went to Washington, D.C., to fly to Montgomery, to Birmingham, to be with you in Selma. And let me tell you why it's important. Because we control the federal budget. And when we have dollars, whether they are through the DNC, whether they're through the DCCC, it's important for you to elect people who understand that we need people like Roland Martin to be able to get funds, and then don't talk about it if somebody says, oh, they gave Roland $10 million, which he didn't get and should have, then we should not be saying that's too much. So this is what I want you to stop doing. If a brother has a salary that seems like a lot and he got it, you ought to be saying, thank God, because little Spencer can now get twice that much. Dr. Angela Price can be able for her program to get 3 times that much. And it is so important for us to understand our history. We went to Selma because it was important for us to be there for the voting rights. It was important for us to be there because of John R. Lewis' Voting Rights Act. It's important for us to know what we're fighting for in Ohio. Because if we lose in Ohio and we lose in the Midwest, we'll lose in the West and we'll lose in the South. We have to go back and do what I call old school, new school. Old school. We have to march. You can't talk about it's too hot. People walked for miles in suits and ties and dresses and hats and purses so you could sit your behind in the Lincoln Theater. And so you could elect me to go to Congress. So we have to speak truth to power. And we have to not be afraid, but we also have to have hope. And that's what my lawsuit was about. Now, let me just tell you, I know you know your history, so you know who Ruby Bridges is. When I walked into that meeting, which was not held at the Kennedy Center, and I had vowed that I would not go to the White House ever again while he was president. But the day he changed the meeting to the White House so it could be on his turf, 41 board members showed up, and no one was in that room that looked like me. And so when the lady sitting next to me, she said, oh, I'm sure you're angry, because we had filed the first of 3 lawsuits. And we won on the first lawsuit. The first lawsuit, I went in with security, sat in the middle seat, and the man chairing the meeting said, by the federal court's ruling, she has to have equal time to speak. She has to be allowed to dissent if she wants to, but we didn't ask for me to vote because we knew we would lose on that. We knew they would all vote against me voting because they had muted my microphone. They picked the wrong sister for that. They picked the wrong sister to mute me and tell me I couldn't speak. And that was the first lawsuit. So make a long story short, It did take courage, but I thought about Rosa Parks, who got arrested. I thought about Fannie Lou Hamer, who gave her life. I thought about that 9-year-old Ruby Bridges. And when my turn came, I did what my communications director sitting there going to tell me, straighten up your posture. Throw your back and your head up and look him in the eye and say, truth to power. And I was so proud that I was the only person to say, this is wrong because it's unlawful. We cannot let people do things that are illegal, because if any of these brothers and sisters go and do anything illegal, you know what the consequences are. And so we won on that lawsuit. We filed then to take his name down. 4 hours I sat in that courtroom with 6 attorneys. And let me just tell you, the day we got the verdict from the federal judge Cooper that we had won that case, it was feeling like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and everybody else that I thought of that fought for us, because I was fighting for you. I was fighting for the Lincoln Center. I was fighting for the Martin Luther King's Performing Arts Center, and every black performer, every family, every little black kid that walked into the Kennedy Center, for every black performer that man said was irrelevant, not talented, and he'd never have them. People like Gladys Knight, people like Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, Smokey Robinson, and the list goes on and on. And so I spent 13 hours standing in front of the Kennedy Center. And at 4:00 a.m., I looked at my watch, and the letters to his name came down. The only member of Congress in the history of the Congress to sue a sitting president and win. That is the courage and the hope I give to you. That is the power that we can have if we educate our little black boys and girls. And I want to say thank you to Roland. Roland is a dear friend. Roland has had me in his studio, which is amazing, by the way. And we have covered things when others were there standing with that man that's in the Oval Office. We were in Roland's studio educating the American people. So I want to say thank you to you, Jules, for having the confidence and the courage to let us speak truth to power.
There's something, there's something that the Congresswoman said that everyone here, you need to really understand the role that you play. She said, quote, by federal decree, which means that was a federal judge. Even though she's a member of Congress, she's in the House. House members don't have a say in who becomes a federal judge. That's the Senate. Presidents appoint, Senate confirms or denies. So you ask the question, Ohio, you've got a Senate election. So to understand, you have the 2 oldest individuals sitting on the Supreme Court are Sam Alito and Uncle Clarence Thomas. But I need you to follow me here. If either one of them chooses not to retire, not by November, but by January, because you got to understand, the election could happen in November. Democrats could take back the House and or the Senate. One of them can retire, and I can guarantee you they will move for a confirmation immediately, meaning in November or December before the new Congress comes in. But let's say they don't retire. That means that Democrats can control the Senate, and then they can determine if there's even a hearing. I dare say that Democrats should have the guts, if one of them decides to step down or one of them passes away, to say to Republicans, we ain't going to hold we're going to do the same thing y'all did.
That's right.
To Obama and Merrick Garland. But again, you have a gubernatorial race. You've got on the Republican side, Vivek Ramaswamy, who don't give a damn about black people. By the way, understand he should be thanking black people, because the only way him or his ancestors could come into the country was because of us fighting to change the immigration laws. But follow me here. He has already said he wants to shut down Central State University. So I need you to understand. It's not just your vote. But the question is, and I'm going to go back to what you said when you ran, you said you got all 18%. I need you to understand also why we're losing. 2008, 2012, you had massive black turnout with the election of Obama. The 2012 election was the first time in American history by percentage more black people voted than white people. First time in history. The reason my book is White Fear, because they not only saw that, they also saw the changing in terms of the demographics. They'll be a minority by 2043. So you have to understand the problem is since 2012, our numbers have gone down, 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 down. It went up in 2020 only because it was COVID, they expanded access to the ballot. It goes down in 2024. So what does that mean? What does it mean? It means that we simply are not voting our number. Congressman Harold Washington was elected the first black mayor of Chicago because 85% of all eligible black voters voted. There were some precincts by noon, 100% had already voted. They literally were like, can we go home? Why are we still open? And they said, no, by law, you got to stay open. Why is that important? Because we have to look at numbers. We have to look at what's turnout, not percentage, turnout, raw numbers. So when I was here in 2024, I was in Cincinnati, and we were and I've been telling this to D9 and other places. So I'm at a black-owned restaurant, because whenever we travel, we only go support black-owned restaurants. And I'm in the restaurant. A brother comes up to me. He's an alpha. He said, hey, man, we're going to be at the Bengals game tomorrow doing voter registration. I said, why? He said, what do you mean? I said, okay, you're going to be in the parking lot doing voter registration. I said, you're going to be out there 4 or 5 hours. How many people are you actually going to see? He goes, I don't understand. I said, this is what you need to do. You need to go to the Board of Elections. You can go on the website. You need to pull the 5 or 10 largest black voting precincts in Cincinnati. Then look at the last state election and the federal election to see how many people in each precinct were eligible to register, eligible to vote. Then look at how many were registered. Then look at how many actually voted. That's your low-hanging fruit. And then what you do is go door to door in that precinct. I said the amount of time you're spending at a game means nothing. You could literally be impacting 200, 300, 400 in these precincts. The reason Trump controls the House is they won the House in those races by a total of 7,000 votes. See, we keep thinking this is no. 7,000. They have what, a 1 or 2 seat majority. 7,000 votes was the difference in them controlling the House. When you start looking at numbers, a black woman would be the Supreme Court Justice in North Carolina, Sherry Beasley, if she had gotten 402 votes. She lost by 401 votes. You just had an election in Florida. A Democrat was elected mayor in one of the cities there, won by about 12 votes. What you're seeing in Virginia, I think in 2018, there was an actual tie between the two candidates. The name had to be pulled out of a hat, and not only did that determine who won, that also determined who controlled the Senate. So that pulling them out of the hat controlled the entire, who controlled the legislature. So why is that important? We're not voting our capacity. Who votes the most? If you're 65 or older, raise your hand. You are the highest voted. You turn out more than anybody else. If you're 55 to 64, raise your hand. You're number 2. If you're 45 to 54, raise your hand. You're number 3. If you are 35 to 44, raise your hand. All right? Now I want y'all turn lights up, please. No. Follow me here. Follow me here. Again, 65 plus, raise your hand. Okay? 55 to 64, raise your hand. 45 to 54, raise your hand. 35 to 44, raise your hand. All right. No, hold up. Follow, I'm going somewhere. 28 to 34, raise your hand. Okay, hold up. Wait. 18 to 27, raise your hand. All right, so here's why I just did that. You just witnessed how I started at 65 plus, more hands went up, and as we went down, fewer hands went up. That's actually the voter turnout.
There it is.
So the issue that we have right now in numerous places, we're not voting our capacity. We're leaving 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, 30, 40, 100,000 votes at home. Georgia had a gubernatorial election a couple of years ago. 900,000 and 1.1 million black folks did not vote. 616,000 North Carolina did not vote. So our issue is we have power that's untapped. We have power that we're not accessing. And what we're doing is we're waiting for somebody else to go do the work, when that is not how we're going to change this. And so we have the ability. What should be happening now, this is June. You've got July, August, September. You should be in what I call the inform, educate, enlighten, and empower stage. There should be every week somewhere in Columbus, Politics 101 at a church, at a community group. Then you find out what's the voter registration deadlines. Now you focus on that. Now once the deadline hits, when does early voting start? And then when is the election? Now let's do the same thing in Montgomery. Look at our vast resources. How many churches and community groups have buses and vans? No, we're going to take folks to the poll.
That's old school.
That's right. So I need us to get out of this idea that this is voter mobilization. This by itself is not voter mobilization. You have to actually talk to people. If a person says, man, I ain't voting, this is real simple. This is all you have to say is, I'm telling you, if somebody said, that stuff don't matter, it's not impacting my life. You have to say, I want you to understand, your birth certificate is a government document. Your public high school diploma, your immunization shots, those are government documents. You went to a public school, your diploma is a public document. If you went to a state college, that's a government document. When you got married, that's a government document. When you get divorced, that's a government document. When you die, your death certificate is a government document. So we have to get people to understand government touches every facet of your life. Exactly. But we have to ask them, what are the 3 things you care about? And then walk them through. We have to be connecting the dots in order to educate folk. So we are assuming people know. How many times, Congresswoman, she's heard it, man, the CBC, man, they don't do a damn thing. Not even understanding that a CBC member can be sitting on a committee and literally can remove a line in a bill that can completely alter the bill. So the point, if you're not present, then, or if they change these seats and you got a Republican sitting in there, then you don't have somebody go, hold up, you can't do that. If Democrats get control, and this is not a Democrat-Republican thing, this is a black thing. See, the political system is a delivery system. So you have to decide who can deliver more things to me, them or them. If they are anti-black, meaning Republicans, they surely not going to deliver anything to me. So if this is a delivery system, I'm going to vote for the Democrat, but then hold them accountable to bring back what I asked for. So when Congresswoman Beatty, Democrats control the House, she now sits over the committee on House Financial Services that will be dealing with banks. So she's now questioning. See, so folk need to understand, and it's not just Ohio. She's now challenging them, the national banking policy, the national housing policy. In every facet, she can sit here and say, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, what is your spending on external law firms, on external accounting firms? What are your contracting? Not just board members, what's your black-owned media advertising? That's how expansive it is. So we need to understand what political power actually does for us.
Let me just jump in here, because this is amazing to bring it back to you with Ohio. And I just happened to have this. Had no idea we were going to go this way. So we used to have funds that came back to the community, set-aside dollars. They didn't like that. Democrats were in charge. We brought them back, but we were smart. We called them community projects. So, Jewel, to answer your question and to back up what Roland just said, I'm sitting as the chair of a committee. I'm chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, now the first to be chair emerita. So what happens? All politics are local. So we have Elgin Ward YMCA and the James Ashburn, right? $3 million I got in a line item for them. They had never received monies before.
Hold on. Meaning you inserted that into the bill
for Ohio and Columbus, Ohio. It gets better. Black man runs Columbus Metropolitan Housing. $1 million in community. The Family Health Center with Dr. Mohammed and Jackie Woodard. Black people leading it. $750,000. Mental health. To our local mental health with Erica Clark, $1 million. Ohio Health to Karen Morrison, $1 million for mammograms. I got more than $20 million for Columbus, Ohio. They're attacking a black mayor in Whitehall, Michael Bivens. So last week, I got him $2.5 million. That's what it means when you vote and you educate your community. And this is stuff, it's like you said, it's not about me bragging, but you put me there. And you have to make sure when you put people there, they can't say, oh, we can't raise money.
Right.
Oh, we can't do it. Anybody tells you that, don't vote for them. And you tell them, I told you so. Because we are at the most critical point in our lives. And it is so important that we come together. I couldn't do a lot of the stuff without Roland Martin. I'll call Roland, where should I be? What should I say? You have to be able to connect. I'll call Jewel and I'll say, okay, what are you working on now? Who are your sponsors? Can I help? Can we figure this out? And that's what you can do when you're educated about the numbers and the facts.
All right, thank you.
So Joel.
Let him go with his question. Sure. Come on.
So again, we're connecting dots. We're connecting dots. If expand what she just said now to when you have a U.S. Senator for the whole state.
There you go.
The reason HBCUs, and I'm going to pull up Central State's number in a minute. The reason HBCUs got $17 billion under Biden-Harris.
With the B.
With the B. The most in history is because of a brother from Virginia who chaired the subcommittee. I need y'all to hear me. Because he's a Democrat, he became the chair. When the Republicans control it, she's the ranking member, meaning you in a minority. So here's Bobby Scott sitting here as the subcommittee chair. Bobby Scott, I'm seeing the money coming. And so folks like, man, why they ain't saying nothing? So Bobby, he's an alpha. I call Congressman Scott. He's like, Roland, I love to come on, but I don't want nobody to know.
That's right.
He said, listen, we may not be in control of the House after November. I'm trying to shovel as much money as I can.
You supposed to be saying this?
I'm telling this is a he's come on the show and we talked about it. But he literally said, he said, I've shoveled so much money
And again, folk don't know. They see Clyburn, they see Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Don't realize he's the chair of the subcommittee. That's where the $17 billion came from. And so by being over the committees. And so when we talk about state of black America, power, political capital, and then I know some simple Simon Negroes out there who going to say, man, I'm sick, y'all talk about all this government stuff, do for self. Let me be clear. When the twice impeached fool went to Saudi Arabia, 42 American CEOs went with him.
There you go.
So if you think that government, no. Corporate America uses government. Law firms use government. They understand that government can drive the Saudi Investment Fund. It can drive the sovereign wealth funds across the world. They understand that. Capital gains, tax policy, all those things. And so how silly do we look saying, nah, man, we ain't doing that government thing. We gonna do for self, when the richest corporations, and Elon Musk became a trillionaire because of government.
Exactly.
He got $38 billion in tax subsidies, and we sitting here saying, why y'all sitting here talking about government? That's how he became a trillionaire. That's how Apple. So how stupid do we look not maximizing government the way they are? That's called playing chess and not playing checkers.
Thank you. So, listen, we're running out of time. And what I want to do is actually just create some space for community questions and answers. And while we actually have Brother Teddy put himself in a position just to allow the community to ask a couple questions, I'm going to let Roland and Congresswoman Beatty maybe say some final words. But just on this last piece, because the one thing that you just mentioned is, how do we get folks out of thinking a certain way? It also just has to do with sort of narratives, like the narrative of, what does it mean to have black faces in high places? What do we want? Black faces in low places? So what I want us to actually talk about is just, wrapping up some comments, is what would you say, for example, to those young, because you gave the age categories, those are 14 to 18-year-old black males. So for both of you, what message of hope, what message of urgency, and what message of action would you conclude on before we go to the community answers? But specifically for some young folks who might be caught up in some of these questions and things that we just need to get out in terms of myths about political participation.
Well, I think you have to understand that we now have some of the youngest brothers in Congress that we've had in the history. And it's important because while Bobby Scott has been there for a while, he is a black man. He is a scholar, and he will have a gavel, which means he will put more money not only into HBCUs, but into public schools, so you can have programs whether you go to college or you're in the workforce. You have to think about the war, and you might not be thinking about that like when I was your age and the generation for our young boys who had to go to Vietnam, who had to go to World War II and fight. This president has put $132 billion already in the war with Iran. And when you think about somebody in this room or in their family went to bed hungry last night. Someone went to the grocery store and put half the things in their cart back. Someone pulled up to the gasoline station and got $10 versus $50 worth of gas. That's in this room. And so I'm saying to you, stay in school. Get your education. That's right. I'm saying to you, go to college if you can and want to, and if not, get a skill. I pay more for my plumber and my electrician than I pay for people who have degrees. So it is not necessary for you to go to college, but it is necessary for you to do something. Let me just say this. A black man from Mississippi, Benny Thompson, will have a gavel over Homeland Security to protect you and to protect the good police officers who protect us. Then when you think about Maxine Waters, and I'm second chair to her, we will rule the Federal Reserve where they tried to get rid of Lisa Cook. when you think about this little black girl to these black boys, I'm sitting in the United States Congress, been to more than 32 countries, flown on Air Force One more than I can count. I would have never thought that possible. But someone sat on a stage and said to me, to act free is to be free. And so I want you to be free, because freedom is what you're here today learning about.
So I'm going to say to you very simple. This could mean you, or it could be your classmates. There's somebody who is going to school every day, and they've maybe had one meal a day. And before you mentioned the child cuts, I know other state governors have been turning down federal money. This headline says, this is April 10th, 2026. As Ohio's summer meal programs see increased use, federal cuts make it harder to fight child hunger. It says some sites provide up to 10 days of meals per child every 2 weeks, and bulk items like bread and milk are available at some sites as well. So to understand, again, we spend billions of dollars on new sports stadiums, but then don't want to feed people. So if you are a high school student, junior high, elementary school, college, understand that that federal SNAP program is providing food. You may have a classmate, and I heard this directly from teachers, you may have a classmate who is completely unruly, who is out of control, but we never factor in he or she could be hungry. So when you have these politicians stand up in these grandiose terms and talk about, oh, we're going to cut SNAP benefits, they are literally saying we're going to not provide food to people. And then they throw out waste, fraud, and abuse, when the greatest waste, fraud, and abuse is in the Pentagon, not in the food program. So what I want you to understand is that the fight that's happening today, I'm 57, I'll be 58 in November, the fight today, I'm not fighting for me. I'm literally fighting for my 9 nieces and 4 nephews. This is a battle for the future of black America. And I'm telling every single one of you, and I'll be very specific, Republicans today, and there are a few good ones, not many, but Republicans today across the board do not care about the future of black America. This is a war we are in. We have generals who are providing battle plans in this war. We need foot soldiers. And as I look at every single one of you, there were kids your age who were there in Birmingham, who had those fire hoses and dogs turn on them. There were kids who marched in Selma, who marched other places. This is a war where we need everybody on the battlefield.
Let me just say one quick thing that's important to Ohio, based on what you said and how important it is to vote, and how important it is as young folks for you to vote. A black woman, a young black woman, younger than you, from Ohio, is the #1 person running to have the gavel in the chair of agriculture. Congresswoman Shontel Brown, because of listening to people like us, she has the courage now. She is not next in line. But what I've been telling people, don't let anyone say to you as young black men, you have to wait. The time is now. You don't have to wait.
And agriculture is the second largest federal budget.
And that is where SNAP falls under. It also controls that they told me that I shouldn't be voting. I eat Cheerios all day long. A bill came up and
regular Cheerios or Honey Nut?
Honey Nut.
Okay, all right.
A bill came up that said poor kids should not be able to have cereal. Yep. And then we had a thing that we were going to pay for the boxes of chickens that they can give you out. You get a 2-pack. We put that on the SNAP. Every person on the other side of the aisle voted against it, said poor people don't need to be getting snacks because they come from restaurants. I am telling you, we are dealing with those kinds of things, and that's why it's important for people to get registered, to vote, and to support this program. Last thing, because he's not going to ask for it. You know, everybody in here has 50 cents or $1 or something. When we have programs like this, we ought to have community sponsorships where we say, we're going to come in here, you get to come in here. We ought to ante up $5, $10 and let it go. It's not going to him. It's going to that corner over there. It's going to that corner over there. We have to start paying our way. And that can be a quarter, it can be $1, because most of the people that raise money through Act Blue for us, they give $2 and $3 and $5. So I'm just saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for getting registered to vote. And you know I got to give them my tagline. I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message. Love you.
Thank you. So I appreciate your time, your patience, and the reality is we don't have as much time for community actions, but let me just say two things. One, Roland has been kind enough to come back here year after year, in part because we support this fearlessness that, you know, there's a common thread with these two people on this stage, right? And we need to support him. So the donations that we're asking for are actually for the Black Star Network and for Roland Martin, so not for Male Behavioral Health. So please scan the QR code. Please donate to the Black Star Network. At this particular time, we're going to take questions, and I'm going to ask you to make a quick comment, 30 seconds, question or a comment, not, you know, a dissertation. And if you go long, I've asked Brother Dami to hit you with some nice little interruption music, which will be... All right, so if you go a little bit longer, you're going to get hit with that. So we got Brother Teddy.
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
All right, we got Mother Sherry Smith from Columbus, Ohio. Y'all give it up for Mother Sherry Smith right here. All right, she's been standing waiting on you, Congresswoman. All right, Mother Sherry.
Okay, thank you. I'm a volunteer with the Ohio Organizing Collaborative, and OOC is the organization that was attacked in Cleveland. Our organization has been fighting for black folks to get registered to vote, and I am proud to work with them as a retired volunteer. The other thing is we have started a group here, part of OOC, called Parents United for Public Schools. We call it PUPS for short. I have been begging, I can't even say it louder, begging people to please get involved, please help. We're trying to help make sure that public schools continue to get funded. Our Ohio legislators, mainly Republicans, have snatched $50 million from Columbus City schools, which are mainly black and brown children. I have to thank you, Representative Beatty. You have been doing so much over the years, and I'm so proud of you. But I am asking our community to do more. I can't.
Thank you so much.
No, hold on.
Thank you.
Wait. Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How many people are in your organization?
In terms of the total organization, as I said, I'm a volunteer.
No, I got it.
But in terms of like our Parents United group here, I run the east. I'm doing the east side.
Just give me a number.
I would say right now it's about 12 people.
Okay, hold up. Okay, so I want you, at your next meeting, I want you to ask those 12.
Yes, sir.
To each personally to bring 2 to the next meeting.
And we've been doing that.
Right, but follow me here.
Yes, sir.
What we're doing is we're hoping folks show up.
Yes.
If you do that over a period of 2 to 3 months, you will go from 12 to 48 to 60. This is about a collective action. And so that's how we also have to be moving and operating in terms of challenging folks to say, hey, all I want you to do is just bring 2 people. Now, here's the deal. If those 12 don't bring 2 people,
right,
that means they're not serious about advancing the agenda. Yes. So challenge those 12 to bring 2 to your next meeting. Okay. And then you're going to see how you're going to multiply your folks who are joining.
Let me just say this to you. Thank you. Last week, and Jewel attended, we brought Prentice Haney in from OOC, Kyle Strickland, yes, and we brought a group of people into my office so we could educate people. Many people didn't even know about OOC. So to Roland's part, you can ask us to help, but you've got to educate more people about who you are, yes, so they'll know to help.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next
God
question.
Bless.
And we're going to ask it to be more of a question than a statement about a number of different things. So,
David, hold the mic. Hold the mic. You got it. Hold the mic.
All right, we got
Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Letitia Hall. No, excuse me, Councilwoman Letitia Null.
Hi.
Give him the mic. Give him the mic.
You gotta hold it.
Put your hands down.
Don't ever
We
let go
good.
of the mic.
There we go.
All right, Letitia Null, Councilwoman in Woodmere, Ohio, near Cleveland. Soror, Roland, I thank you all. I thank you for being here. In Cuyahoga County, May 5th, we had 22% voter turnout. In Woodmere, I live 1 square mile, 55% African American, where there is high voter registration but low voter propensity. What are 2 or 3 strategies to improve voting with those black voters who have low voter propensity in other major areas where money is not an issue?
First, have you pulled the data?
Yes.
Okay. Second of all, what are the institutions in those individual precincts?
And third, do you have a coordinated campaign that's going to ward sites and going old school, knocking on doors with registration forms?
So if you have church partners, ask that church to say, I want you to draw a 0.25 mile radius around your church, and I want those folks to knock on those specific doors. And then you have to be tracking that. So you're tracking how many doors knocked, how many times they've been touched. Bishop Barber said Republicans touch their voters 12 times. Democrats touch their voters 4 times. That right there is the difference in terms of, because you got to be able to touch them. So take your group, whatever your organizing group is, and now plot your map to say we're going to hit these number of doors, these streets, these blocks, these precincts, in order to be able to drive that number up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple more questions. I apologize. We want to be respectful of people's time. So, next.
All right, we got this young man right here, Mr. Michael Stevens Frazier. Mr. Michael Stevens Frazier.
All right. I'm here with the Ubuntu Summer Institute, and we are currently looking at some 100 acres of land because we want to be the first to establish a all-men's boarding school in the state of Ohio. And my question to you is, what are some ways where we could get the community to kind of back up and truly support this so we can allow this to come into fruition?
You say looking at 100 acres of land, meaning you're looking to acquire.
Yes.
Have you established what the price is?
I believe that we're in the works of talking about pricing and just getting everything established overall.
Gotcha. So the next thing is you should be looking at doing a community investment fund to actually acquire that. You got massive platforms out there, whether it's GoFundMe or other platforms where you can actually raise capital to actually do that. We complain about gentrification, but we got to realize that land is available. We simply aren't pooling our resources together. And so if you first establish what the cost of the acquisition is going to be and then begin to put that together, driving that website, I wouldn't be surprised at all that you would get support from around the country. Right. But you have to put that together and then put that on that site and now give people an opportunity to be able to invest in your vision. That's, to me, what a lot of people are doing right now.
Understood. I appreciate you.
Last question.
All right.
Unfortunately, last question.
Mr. Tequila Lowry.
First, I just want to thank you, Jewel Woods.
I remember that name.
I remember you, too. Thank you for your counsel and your information. And also thank you, Congresswoman Beatty, for your representation. Thank you, Roland Martin, for your information that you brought to the black community. I want to know, what can we do with regards to what DOGE has done to decimate the black women that have been in the workforce, working for the federal government? How do we reverse some of this damage that has been done to our community in the short 2 years that this man's been in office? Can this be undone, or are we looking at a 50-year generational fight?
It can definitely be undone, and it's going to go back to the first thing. You can only get people out of office if you register and you vote. And history is at a time of repeating itself. There's no way that we should not take back the House. We'll have the first black man to be Speaker of the House, the third most powerful person in this country, Hakeem Jeffries. If we do what Roland and others have said and we take back the Senate, Ohio will make that difference. And the way it works is 2 years from then, we will have a presidential election. And if we then, as history tells us, it should be a Democrat, we will then have a different administration who will restore everything that's done. Our first executive orders will undo and put back in what Biden put in after the first presidency. He took away diversity and inclusion. He took away everything that we had for black people. Corporate America bought into it because they were afraid. And so we can definitely undo it. It has happened before, and it will happen again. Vote.
So I need you to go micro to macro. What happens is we keep thinking macro as opposed to going micro. And what I mean by that is people come to me all the time and they say, man, who's going to run in 2028? I said, I'm not thinking about 2028. I said, I'm not thinking about it. 2 days after the election, black people were mortified, were angry and upset that Vice President Kamala Harris lost. I totally understood, but I was already over it. And people were like, dude, how are you over? I said, because the election is over. My focus was already on the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Then it was on the Louisiana Constitutional Ballot Initiative. Then it was on the Louisiana mayoral election. So I'm always looking at what's next. So you've already had your primaries in Ohio. So the question now becomes, Ramaswamy, Acton. Okay, no, wait, hold up. But here's the deal. If you say Acton, then the next thing is, okay, Acton, what is your plan of action for black people? 2, what is your strategy? What is your investment going to be? Because who was the dude who was a congressman of Ohio who totally ignored black folks when he ran for the Senate? What's his name? Tim Ryan. That's why, listen, and I personally texted him and said, are you going to go to the Cincinnati Music Festival to recruit? He never responded. That's why he got his ass whooped. So, no. But again, no, we have to be extremely strategic. Sherrod Brown, I was talking his campaign last time. They never actually followed through about bringing my show here and doing some things at Wilberforce and Central State. And then now on election day, he's running around and because you did drive the black vote, same thing. So we have to be asking those questions. So what are the next races? And then once November, so you might say, hey, you know what? I'm good in Ohio. But you can also volunteer the phone bank to call another state. And so if you're talking about the United States Senate, you're looking at, in terms of what the targets are, Ohio is one of those targets. And so you got to be maximizing. So the goal is, Democrats' goal is to hold Georgia, win North Carolina with Roy Cooper, win Ohio, even though you got a crazy candidate in Maine, but his voting will probably be different from Susan Collins. You got potential in Iowa and Alaska, and then you go in Texas and some other states. Well, Ohio is one of the top 4, and you got Michigan to hold. So Ohio is one of the top states to take, Ohio, North Carolina, and Maine. Now you look at the House. And so the goal is to take either the House or the Senate. You can't take the White House. The election is not until 2028. So you focus on what you can take. And so right now the focus is take the Senate, take the House, take the governor's mansion, because if you take the governor's mansion, then you have the ability to stop a lot of the things that the legislature is doing. Now you start looking at your state Senate and your state House races. Again, we're expending wasted energy talking about who's going to run in 28, and if you're not mobilizing and organizing for 26, then you're ignoring what's going to be happening next. So focus on what's right in front of you.
Thank you. So at this particular point, we're about to wind down. I appreciate it. This is where we would have had a sort of call to action. And again, one of the reasons why Brother Roland has been kind enough to keep coming back to Columbus, because I keep convincing him, or at least making the argument, that Columbus is going to be different. So literally for the last 5 to 6 months, we have been working on this civic education program that he's been challenging in us. And we wanted to launch it tonight. So you'll get that invitation shortly, because we had some technical difficulties. So at this time, I'm actually let these beautiful people sort of close us out. Before I let them close out and have the final word, I'll also mention that Roland will be happy to sign a couple books before he leaves us. I'm going to actually ask you all again to donate before you leave. And I'm also going to remind everybody that this is an entire week, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, marriage and family therapy in the black community. Friday, a call to men. Saturday, black father-daughter dance. And Sunday, black love and date night. Look at all the sort of participating restaurants and stuff that are doing that. So at this particular time, I just want to give Congresswoman Beatty and Roland Martin the opportunity to sort of some final thoughts to close us out as we walk out.
You know you going first. Stop it. I don't know why you keep talking about it. You my guest. Go ahead and go first.
Let me just say.
Very rare Alpha will let anybody go after us, but go right ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you know, Delta Sigma Theta sororities in the house, so...
Yeah, wearing your pink.
Deltas can wear any color. As you in blue.
Here they go. Here they go.
You in blue.
And Alphas can wear all of the colors.
Here they go.
Let me just say to the audience the two most important words I can say, and that's thank you. You've been a great audience. You've been a great supporter. So we're going to ask you to donate, and everything must continue to go back to getting people registered and voting, because that is the single most important thing we can do. History tells us that. If you go back to 64, 65, 68, if we go to 1972 when we were in the Midwest in Gary, Indiana, that was the largest at that time gathering of black folks to make sure that we got black folks elected. People like Senator Herschel Craig that's sitting here, that's been a fighter in this community. It is so important for us to do that, because at that time you had great leaders who came together, and it's a history you should read about, because you had prominent leaders from Jesse Jackson to Shirley Chisholm, the first female, by the way, to run for president as a serious candidate. The only female as founder of the powerful Congressional Black Caucus, which was founded the year before that. And all of that was set by the stage because we had had prominent leaders like Martin Luther King in 1968 died, Malcolm before him in 1965. And I tell you this because young people need to know our history. So when you feel that you're hopeless, when you read our history and you see what black people did, not for themselves, but for us so we could have a better life, right now, all of that with this administration is trying to take us backwards. They're making woke a bad word. They're saying get rid of everything that was woke. Well, the opposite of woke is asleep. So thank God that we are woke. Thank God that we are black, and thank God that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not about a handout. And thank God that we have talked about boys and girls, men and women coming together, because my liberation is not a competition. We have to be in this together. And that's the only thing that I ask you to remember, to stand together, to stand united, and to stand on the shoulders of so many people who died for me and you to be here. And a change is going to come. A change is going to come because we are stronger together. And I want you to remember that. So my message is one of hope.
Powerful.
April 3rd, 1968 at Mason Temple in Memphis, Dr. King gave his last sermon. And in that sermon, he said that black people, black people individually, are some of the poorest in America. He said, yet collectively, we represent one of the largest economies in the world. I want you to understand that dichotomy. Poorest individually, one of the largest economies in the world. The United States economy is a $30 trillion economy. China is $19 trillion. If you look at the wealth of African Americans, our wealth exceeds most African nations in terms of their gross domestic product. But the question is, how do we then move as a collective? I'm working on a book that'll be dropped in February, and I'm talking about this. Where Dr. King, in his book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, he said there were 4 institutions that were primed to liberate Black America: Negro Church, Negro Press, Negro fraternities and sororities, and Negro professional and business organizations. He said, yet none of them have collectively given their all to liberate Black America. Where we are today is that too many of us are fixated on being entertained. When someone comes to you and they said, man, preacher, man, he preached a sermon, I want you to ask them, what was the scripture? If they only tell you about the hoop part of the speech, that's the feel-good part. But the basis of the sermon is the scripture. If you can't name the scripture and the points, then you didn't really pay attention to the sermon. You were entertained by the hoop. So where we are now is that when we have these gatherings, we come, we gather, we take selfies, we post videos, and we say, man, it was a great conversation. But how many of us then say, what am I going to do tomorrow to do the work? You heard me earlier say that we have generals, but we don't have enough troops. I always think about Nehemiah. Nehemiah wept when he learned that the wall had crumbled. And then when the king said, go check on your people, Nehemiah surveyed the wall. Nehemiah surveys the wall. He comes up with a plan of action to rebuild the wall. But the critical part is that he goes to the people, and then the people said, let us rebuild. What is happening is that today we are asking the Nehemiahs to come up with a plan and for them to rebuild. We are not accepting the us part. And so then when you keep reading that, you see that there were haters. Haters said, y'all can't build that wall. That's haters saying, y'all can't register low propensity voters. Y'all can't raise money together to pay for this. Y'all not going to be able to do nothing to raise the money for the 100 acres. Nehemiah said, ignore the haters, keep building. Then as you begin to make progress, and all of a sudden the haters said, oh no, we got to stop you from proceeding. Let's be clear. There are going to be some black haters trying to stop what we're talking about. Those black haters will be Democrat or Republican. Those black haters will be male or female. It does not matter. And so Nehemiah said, keep one hand on your weapon, but keep building with the other hand. The beauty of that, and there are people talk about Nehemiah, they get excited because the wall got rebuilt. No, I get excited because the book lists the names of the people that built the wall. What I'm saying to you is this here. If we come back 20, 30 years from now, and the conversation in Columbus, and the conversation is Ohio, is about what Fannie Lou Hamer did, what Dr. King did, what Carl Stokes did, what Louis Stokes did, what Marsha Fudge did, what Joyce Beatty did, and your names are not mentioned, that means that you didn't do any work. The challenge for this generation is whether or not your names today will be called tomorrow, or will people tomorrow completely skip over this generation? Too many of us are not committed to the work. We want the attention. We want the acclaim. We want all of that, but none of that stuff happens without the work. Your homework, your challenge now is, what am I individually going to do leaving here? When I go back to my sorority, my fraternity, my men's group, or whatever group I'm in, how am I going to grab them and say, you in this? Okay, what you going to do? And what you going to do, what are you going to do? Because that's the only way these things happen. One person can't do it all. Every person in this room has the ability to completely change the future direction of this city, in this state, in this country,
But if you come back to this in 2027 and you do a personal annual report and you look back and say, man, I didn't do anything in the last 364 days, you are the damn problem.
All right. You're excited about doing your personal annual report for 2027? All right, we want to thank you all for coming out. As I mentioned, there will be just a limited number of books available for signing and purchase. For those folks interested in getting that, we're asking you to go out that door. Last round of applause for Roland Martin and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Thank you all for coming out. We'll see you at all the other events throughout Black Girl Dad Week. Dami, go ahead and hit them. And hold on one second. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, we want to, Congresswoman, she can't hear me. All right. We just want to give you this award. Brother, again, this was the Bell Hooks Award, showing this love for both black men and black women. And let me put this down and get a hug.
We thank you all for coming. We thank you all for coming. Like he said, you can go right over there and get you a signed copy, Mr. Roland Martin.